A cleaner sat at the Billionaire's VIP table by mistake, and the whole room froze, as if she had crossed a forbidden line. Emily Carter didn't notice the reserved sign, didn't see the guarded looks, didn't understand why the whispers sharpened the moment she sat down. She had only wanted a place to rest for one quiet minute. But the table she chose belonged to a man whose world never mixed with hers, a man whose name carried weight and silence wherever he went. And when he finally approached the table, everything shifted in a way she never saw coming. Emily Carter stepped into the rooftop dining hall, carrying a mop bucket that wobbled with every step. The place wasn't built for someone like her. Soft jazz drifted through the air. Polished floors shined like still water, and guests in expensive suits moved as if the room belonged to them by birthright. Emily kept her eyes low, hoping to blend into the background the way cleaners were expected to. Silent, quick, invisible. She had been on her feet since sunrise, scrubbing hallways, polishing mirrors, and wiping down handrails that wealthy guests barely touched. Her uniform smelled faintly of bleach, and the knees of her pants had faded from years of kneeling. Yet, she carried herself with a quiet steadiness, refusing to let exhaustion bend her spirit. Tonight, the hotel was hosting a charity gala, the kind with $1,000 plates and guests who measured status by the height of their heels and the shine of their cufflinks. Emily didn't belong anywhere near the main dining area, but a spill near the balcony had dragged her up from the service hallways. As she crossed the room, conversations softened. A couple glanced at her shoes, their expressions tightening. A woman in a diamond necklace shifted her chair as if Emily's cleaning cart might scrape her gown. A waiter tried to hurry Emily along, worried she'd disrupt the picture-perfect evening the guests paid for. Emily ignored the stares. Her mother used to say that dignity starts with how you walk, not what you wear. She knelt, cleaned the spill, and kept moving. But as she pushed her cart back toward the exit, she felt a dizzy wave of fatigue. The nearest chair happened to be at a quiet corner table, draped in white linen, marked with a gold-trimmed reserved sign she didn't see. She sat, and the room noticed. Emily hadn't been sitting for more than a minute when she noticed a young server across the room, struggling with a tray stacked far too high. He was new. She had seen him in the service hallway earlier, fumbling with silverware and counting menus under his breath. Now, under the pressure of wealthy guests and watchful eyes, his hands were trembling. One wrong move, and the entire tray would crash. Without thinking, Emily rose from the VIP chair she never should have touched. She crossed the floor quickly, ignoring the startled looks from the nearby tables. When the server's grip slipped, she caught the edge of the tray just in time, steadying it before disaster hit. "Breathe," she whispered, guiding his shaking hands back into place. "Small steps. You're okay." The young man nodded, relief softening his tense face. No one else had moved to help. Not the guests, not the supervisors hovering near the bar. They simply watched, ready to judge the moment he failed. Emily walked the tray with him to the kitchen door, making sure he didn't falter. She didn't ask for thanks, didn't look for approval. She simply returned to the dining room, brushing a loose hair from her face, unaware that her small act of kindness had been noticed by someone she had yet to meet. When Emily turned back toward the table she'd borrowed for a moment of rest, she nearly bumped into a tall man standing beside it. He held a half-filled water glass, studying the seat she had just left as if trying to solve a quiet puzzle. "Interesting choice," he said, his tone calm, almost amused. Emily froze. "Sorry, I didn't mean to. I just needed a minute." He glanced at her mop bucket, then at the pristine table. "Trust me, I've wanted to sit down in places I wasn't supposed to. Usually gets me in trouble." His smile wasn't mocking. It was warm, disarming. Emily found herself letting out a short, tired laugh. "Well, I think I picked the wrong seat," she muttered. People looked ready to call security. "Not me," he replied. "Honestly, you gave this table more personality in 5 seconds than it's had all night." Parenthetically, Emily raised a brow. "That a compliment?" "Absolutely," he said. "Tables get boring, people don't." She laughed, again, surprised at how natural it felt. For a moment, the noise of the gala faded, replaced by the easy rhythm between them. She didn't know who he was, only that he seemed out of place in the best possible way, like someone who didn't take himself too seriously. "Thanks," she said softly. "Anytime." He tapped the back of the chair she had sat in. "Next time you need a break, pick this one again." She walked away smiling, unaware this small exchange had just shifted her entire path. The man at the table, Lucas Hale, waited until Emily disappeared back into the service hallway, before letting the pleasant expression slip from his face. The smile faded into something quieter, more guarded, as he walked toward the balcony, where the city lights flickered across the water below. Out here, away from the guests, the weight of who he was settled back onto his shoulders. Lucas wasn't just another attendee at the gala. He was the man funding it. The Hale name topped half the donor plaques in the hotel lobby. His family owned a development company that shaped skylines along the East Coast, the kind of empire that made people stand straighter when he walked past them. Yet he hated these events, hated the empty compliments, the forced toasts, the expectations. Tonight, he had slipped in quietly, without his usual entourage, hoping to avoid attention. His assistant found him on the balcony, phone in hand. "Sir, the board is waiting for confirmation on the acquisition. They need your signature by tomorrow." Lucas tensed. The acquisition, which shut down several small businesses in the Old Harbor district, the same neighborhood he used to visit with his father, before the family wealth grew into something unrecognizable. It was a reminder of how far he had drifted from the life he once understood. "Tomorrow," he said flatly. "And the press wants a statement about your arrival tonight." He exhaled. "Tell them nothing. I'm just a guest." The assistant left, and Lucas leaned over the railing. For one brief moment earlier, talking to Emily, he had felt unnoticed, unjudged. She had no idea who he was, and he found that strangely comforting. He glanced back into the dining hall, searching for the cleaner with the tired eyes and steady hands. Emily Carter didn't know it yet, but she had just crossed paths with one of the most powerful men in the city, and that truth would soon upend everything she believed about him. H5, 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 H5. Over the next few days, Emily saw the man from the VIP table far more often than she expected. Lucas, dressed down in simple shirts and sleeves rolled to his elbows, wandered into parts of the hotel no billionaire usually explored. He claimed he was trying to understand the place from the ground up, but he always seemed to end up near Emily's tasks. Their odd friendship formed in fragments. One morning, he insisted on helping her carry a stack of laundry bags, only to trip over a rolling cart and nearly topple them both. Emily laughed so hard she had to steady herself against the wall. Another day, he asked her to teach him the mysterious art of folding fitted sheets. His attempts were so hopeless that they left a twisted fabric knot on the floor. He raised his hands in defeat, while Emily doubled over with quiet laughter. During lunch breaks, he joined her in the service stairwell, sharing sandwiches and stories from his childhood, carefully edited ones, leaving out the parts with mansions and private jets. Emily told him about her dream of one day starting a small cleaning business of her own. Piece by piece, their walls thinned, and neither noticed how naturally they reached for each other's company. It happened late one evening, after most guests had already drifted back to their rooms and the hallways grew quiet. Emily was finishing her shift, gathering stray napkins from the terrace outside the dining hall. The night air was cool, carrying the faint scent of the ocean drifting in from the harbor. She didn't expect anyone else to be out there. But Lucas was leaning against the railing, hands in his pockets, looking out at the lights scattered across the water. He turned when he heard her footsteps, and the soft smile he gave her felt warmer than the city breeze. "You always work this late?" he asked. "Someone has to make the place look perfect for the next round of rich guests." She grinned, trying to keep the mood light. But Lucas didn't laugh. He watched her with that thoughtful expression he had sometimes, the one that made her feel seen in a way she wasn't used to. "You deserve more than this," he said quietly. The words landed deeper than he meant them to. Emily looked away, unsure how to answer. No one had ever said something like that to her. Not with sincerity, not with meaning. Lucas stepped closer, not touching her, but close enough that she could feel the warmth of him. "I don't know how to explain it," he said, voice low. "But being around you, it makes everything feel different." Her breath caught. She wanted to ask what he meant, wanted to lean into that closeness, but her heart beat too loudly for her to risk a wrong move. Instead, she whispered, "Lucas, what are we doing?" He hesitated, just long enough that she felt the world tilt. But before he could answer, a hotel manager opened the terrace door and called Emily's name. The moment broke. Emily stepped back. Lucas dropped his hands to his sides, and the words neither dared to say hung in the cool night air, unfinished. The next night, the hotel buzzed with another high-profile event, and Emily was assigned to assist in the main dining room. She moved carefully between tables, focusing on her work, trying not to think about the unfinished moment on the terrace. But the universe had other plans. Mark Bennett, a former high school classmate who had once mocked her for dreaming too big, was in attendance. He had climbed into the world of wealthy investors through charm and connections, and he carried himself like a man who believed he deserved every inch of attention. When he spotted Emily weaving through the guests, his eyes sharpened with something bitter, an old jealousy dressed like amusement. "Well, look who it is," Mark said loudly enough for nearby guests to hear. "Emily Carter. Still cleaning up after everyone else?" Several heads turned. Emily froze, feeling heat crawl up her neck. Lucas, standing near the bar, noticed the tension and moved closer. But Mark stepped in front of Emily, cutting off her escape. "I should have guessed you'd end up here," Mark went on, his tone dripping with false sweetness. "You always did know your place." Emily held her breath, her fingers tightening around the tray she carried. Before she could answer, Lucas spoke. "Maybe you should mind your own night, Mark." Mark's eyebrows lifted. "And who are you to tell me anything?" Emily felt panic surge through her. She didn't want a scene. She didn't want attention. But Mark wasn't finished. He leaned closer to her and said loudly, "Careful who you get close to, Emily. Some men like to play savior until they remember you're not part of their world." The room fell silent. Emily's chest tightened, humiliation burning through her. She turned and hurried away before either man could speak again, and the fragile bond she'd built with Lucas trembled under the weight of Mark's words. Emily avoided Lucas the entire next day, keeping her head down and slipping into quieter hallways whenever she sensed him nearby. She couldn't risk another scene. Mark's words still echoed in her mind, and the shame of being targeted so publicly made her stomach twist. She didn't know that Lucas felt the aftermath just as sharply. Late that night, when the hotel emptied and the service floors quieted, Lucas made a decision he didn't want her to know about. He slipped into a private office, logged into the secure system he rarely used himself, and pulled up a list of investors involved in the Harbor District acquisition. Mark Bennett's name stood out. Jaw tight, Lucas initiated a series of calls. Quiet ones, controlled ones. By morning, Mark would find himself temporarily removed from negotiations and barred from several upcoming events due to professional conduct concerns. Lucas didn't care if Mark figured out why. He only cared that Emily wouldn't have to endure him again. When he finished, Lucas leaned back in the chair, the room dim around him. He hadn't fixed everything. He couldn't fix the hurt she felt, but he could protect her from at least one threat. And he would do it without her ever knowing. Emily was polishing silverware in the staff lounge when Sophie rushed in, breathless, clutching her phone. "Emily, you need to see this." Her voice trembled in a way that made Emily's stomach drop. On the screen was a news alert with a photo of Lucas, sharp suit, confident posture, standing beside a row of executives. The headline was impossible to miss. Lucas Hale finalizes major harbor acquisition. Emily blinked, confused. This can't be him. Lucas, he's just... Sophie shook her head. Emily, he's the Hale. The billionaire Hale. He owns half the developments on the East Coast, and he's buying up the Harbor District. Emily's breath caught. The Harbor District was where her mother had worked in a small diner for 20 years. The one neighborhood Emily still felt belonged to her. If the acquisition happened, businesses would close, families would be pushed out, and the place she called home would be swallowed whole. Before she could speak, the lounge door swung open. Mark Bennett walked in with a smug grin. "Looks like your little friend has been busy," he said. Funny how he didn't mention who he really was, or that he's the reason people from your neighborhood are about to lose everything. Emily stared at Mark, then at Sophie's phone, then at the door where Lucas suddenly appeared, quiet, tense, clearly searching for her. "Emily," Lucas said softly, "I can explain." Her heart cracked at the sound of his voice. "Explain what?" she whispered. "That you lied? That you pretended to be someone else? That you're taking away the only place I've ever belonged?" Lucas stepped toward her, desperate. "I didn't want you to see me the way everyone else does. I never meant to hurt you." But Emily stepped back. His presence, once comforting, now felt like a wall she could never climb. "You already did," she said, voice breaking. She walked past him without another word, leaving Lucas standing alone, with the truth scattered between them, like shattered glass. Emily left the hotel before her shift ended, stepping into the cool night with her chest tight and her thoughts spinning. She walked without direction, letting the city swallow her, until she found herself at the edge of the old harbor, the place tied to her childhood, the place Lucas's deal would soon erase. The wooden planks creaked beneath her as she sat down, hugging her knees to her chest. The smell of salt and old paint filled the air, and for the first time in years, she felt small in a way she couldn't hide. Everything she believed about Lucas, every laugh, every quiet moment, now felt tangled with a lie she never saw coming. She tried to hold herself together, but the weight of it broke through. A choked sob escaped her. Then another. She didn't hear Rosa Delgado approach until a gentle hand settled on her shoulder. Rosa had worked at the hotel longer than anyone. She was the kind of woman who always noticed when someone was hurting, even if they tried to hide it. "Mi niña," Rosa whispered, lowering herself beside her. "I've seen storms, but this one, it's sitting heavy on you." Emily wiped her face with her sleeve. "He pretended to be somebody else. He let me trust him. And now he's taking away the only place I have left." Rosa listened without interruption, her presence calm and steady. People with power sometimes forget how their choices fall on the hearts of those who don't have it. But listen to me, Emily. Not every mistake comes from cruelty. Sometimes it comes from fear. Emily shook her head. I don't know if I can forgive him. You don't have to decide tonight, Rosa said softly. But don't let pain close your heart. You're stronger than that, and you deserve truth, not silence. Emily took a long breath, letting Rosa's words settle. The hurt didn't disappear, but something inside her steadied, just enough to stand again. And for the first time, since everything shattered, she felt a faint spark of direction. Emily found Lucas waiting near the quiet service entrance the next morning, hands shoved deep in his pockets, dark circles under his eyes. He didn't try to stop her when she walked past. He only said her name softly, like it hurt to speak it. Emily, please, just give me a minute. She stopped, but didn't turn. A minute won't change anything. Lucas stepped closer, leaving space between them. You deserved the truth. I should have told you from the start. She faced him then, anger and disappointment tangled in her expression. Why didn't you? He swallowed, voice rough. Because the moment you talked to me like I was just another guy, I didn't want to lose that. I didn't want to become the version of myself people expect. The one with money. The one with power. You made me feel human again, and I held on to it too tightly. Pause. Emily's eyes softened for a moment, but hardened again. You still lied. You let me trust you while you were planning something that would destroy everything I care about. Lucas shook his head. It wasn't my plan. The acquisition started before I even came here. But I won't pretend I'm innocent. I stayed quiet because I didn't want to see you look at me the way you're looking at me now. Emily took a long breath. Do you have any idea what that harbor means? Those shops, those families? People like me don't get many places that feel like ours. And you, someone with everything, didn't think I deserved to know the truth? Lucas's voice broke. I'm sorry. Not in the polished way people like me are trained to apologize. I mean it. If I could undo the lie, I would. She looked at him. Really looked. There was no arrogance, no shield. Just a man who had made a terrible choice and was standing in the wreckage of it. I don't know what to do with any of this, she whispered. You don't have to forgive me, he said. But let me fix what I can. Let me show you the person I want to be, the one you saw without knowing. Emily stepped back, torn. One chance, she said quietly. Not for us, for the truth. And with that, she walked away, this time not out of anger, but out of the need to see if he could really change. The days that followed moved differently, slower, more deliberate. Emily didn't forgive Lucas, not immediately, but she allowed space for something she wasn't ready to name. Proof, effort, change. And Lucas, for the first time in years, stepped into that space with humility rather than confidence. He began by meeting with the development board, challenging the very acquisition he once signed off on. It wasn't easy. Investors pushed back. Advisors warned him it would make him look weak. But Lucas kept going, armed with facts he gathered by spending hours walking the harbor streets, listening to shop owners, workers, and families who lived there. Emily didn't know how often he went, but Rosa did. She watched him slip out early, return late, and speak less like a billionaire and more like a man, learning to see the world clearly. Emily, meanwhile, started taking steps for herself. She picked up extra hours, saved more intentionally. And with Rosa's guidance, she drafted a plan for a small cleaning business, one she'd dreamed about for years, but never believed she had the right to pursue. For the first time, she gave that dream shape and direction. Every few days, Lucas approached her carefully, not with apologies, but with updates, short, honest explanations of what he was doing and why. No promises, no pressure. Emily kept her answers brief. But she didn't walk away anymore. Sometimes she even asked questions. Sometimes she listened a little longer. Little by little, anger loosened its grip. One afternoon, Lucas handed her a folder. Inside were documents showing he'd halted the acquisition permanently, even though it cost him a fortune and a seat on an influential board. "You didn't owe me this," Emily said quietly. "No," he replied, "but I owed the truth. And I owed the city I forgot." That was the first day she smiled at him again. Not fully, but enough to let hope breathe. 3 months later, the harbor felt alive again. Summer lights hung between the old storefronts, families filled the sidewalks, and the waves rolled in with their usual familiar rhythm. At the corner of Maple and Harbor Street stood a freshly painted door with a small wooden sign. Carter Cleaning and Care. Emily's dream had finally taken shape, small, steady, and hers. Inside, Rosa arranged supplies, while Sophie labeled new equipment. Emily stood in the center of the room, taking in the sight with a quiet, grateful breath. She had worked for every inch of this space, every late shift, every saved dollar, every moment she refused to give up. This time, she hadn't needed rescuing. She had built something of her own. When the bell above the door jingled, Emily looked up to see Lucas standing in the doorway. No suit, no formality, just him, simple shirt, relaxed shoulders, hands tucked nervously into his pockets. "I heard the grand opening was today," he said softly. Emily smiled, a real one this time. "It is." He stepped inside, glancing around with awe. "You did this." "We did different things," she corrected gently. "But yes, I did." Lucas nodded, pride shining through his humility. "I'm glad you let me be part of the journey, even a small part." Emily walked closer, not rushed, not hesitant, just sure. "You didn't buy this for me, Lucas. You supported it. That matters." "And you didn't forgive me overnight," he replied. "That matters too." They stood only a breath apart now, surrounded by the quiet hum of the space she'd built. Emily reached for his hand, and he met her halfway, their fingers curling together with a sense of peace that had taken time, real time to earn. Outside, the harbor breeze drifted through the open door, warm and easy. Emily leaned closer, her voice soft. "You know, this place finally feels like home." Lucas brushed his thumb against her hand. "Then I'm exactly where I want to be, and in the heart of the harbor that almost disappeared." They chose a future built on truth, patience, and a love that grew the right way. Slow, honest, and deeply real. Thank you for joining this journey of second chances and quiet courage. If this story moved you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share in the comments which moments stayed with you the most and why. Your reactions help shape every story that comes next. And if you want more heartfelt tales about resilience, love, and hope, make sure to subscribe to Echoes of Hope. Stay connected, stay inspired, and come back for the next story that might touch your heart in a new way.